So in this video, I want to walk you through if I have to start my meditation practice from the day one, knowing what I know from practicing last 12 years, how would I go about it? Yeah. So let's say today was my first day of meditation. I just meditated and I get to realize that I cannot stay focused on my breath. I don't have much mindfulness and mind is extremely powerful, relatively negative, and more or less very chaotic. Yeah. And very powerful. So for the first year of my practice, what I would do is I would establish a 30-minute morning and 30-minute evening Samatha meditation practice first. Yeah. And if you don't know Samatha meditation, it is basically observing the breath around the nostril area. And why Samatha practice? Because the best analogy that I know about the Samatha meditation is, imagine your mind is like a container. Yeah. So inside the container you have a lot of these insects and flies and reptiles and all kind of different things, and these things keep coming out in the space and it's making the space very disturbing. Yeah. And you are not comfortable with all these things. What Samatha practice does is, it's basically you are learning to put a lid on that container. Yeah. So you are not really experiencing a lot of these disturbances, and it creates more calm space. So that's what the Samatha practice is. It's also known as a calm abiding meditation. It's also known as a Anapana meditation. But fundamentally, you are just observing the breath and you're learning to stay focused on the breath. And if you do it right, as an effect, you should feel more calm and you should feel more focused. Yeah. So this is what I would do. I would set up this Samatha meditation practice morning and evening 30 minutes. And I would practice it regardless of the quality of meditation, regardless of whether I'm progressing, not progressing, regardless of any other variable, right? Unless there is a real emergency, if I'm exhausted, if I'm tired, if I'm sick, whatever, right? I would still practice morning and evening 30-minute meditation, Samatha meditation, right, for the first year. And I would try to practice it at the same time, right? For if I look at my own routine, generally if I have to practice, I will generally practice morning 6 o'clock, evening 8:30. That works really well with my, like the time I wake up and I sleep. But I will try to set it up on the same time every day. Yeah, that helps quite a lot. So this is what I will do for the first year. And what I notice when I'm actually practicing Samatha meditation morning and evening, one thing you will start noticing is that certain habits in the daily life will help you to practice better. Means like mind will be less distracted while you are practicing, so your practice is more productive, and certain habits will make it much harder to practice and much more difficult to be inspired to practice. Yeah. So if I look at my own experience, if I am keeping my body healthy, if I'm eating well, if I'm sleeping well, if I'm exercising or doing something like yoga, it helps tremendously in my practice. Yeah. On the other hand, if I'm eating a junk food, or if I'm watching movies or TV shows or sort of mindless entertainment, it makes it very difficult to practice. Yeah. So what I will do, along with setting up this Samatha meditation practice morning and evening 30 minutes, I will learn to adopt the healthy habits over the first year, especially keeping my body healthy and trying to cut down, or at least putting a container in terms of things that are more not helping me to practice better, right? For example, if I'm consuming a lot of content and watching a lot of movies and all these doom scrolling and everything, if I cannot cut them down, I will try to start doing something like on the weekends I check my social media and I will do this and I will do that. I will watch movie or whatever. But in these days I don't do this, or for at least for this time I don't do any of this thing, right? But at the end of the first year, this is what I will expect from myself, right? I have a established morning and evening practice in a way that mind understand this is non-negotiable, right? Regardless of any conditions, I'm going to practice morning and evening, and I'm going to practice Samatha meditation, right? Along with it, I am keeping my body healthy. I have built a habit of keeping my body healthy, eating right, sleeping right, etc. And I have cut down at least most destructive patterns that are creating a lot more disturbance in the mind, right? So for example, if I'm watching a lot of doom scrolling like TikTok or something like that, and it is not affecting my meditation practice, I don't mind it, right? But if it is affecting my meditation practice, I will start cutting it down. Yeah. So this is what I will expect to do in my first year. Also, if you want to understand the Samatha practice in more detail, I think the best book I know is The Mind Illuminated. This is probably the best instructions in the meditation itself, especially around the Samatha meditation. So also we have a video series in this channel, so you can check that out. But if you want to understand more deeply, I think that is the book, probably a good idea to read it. Yeah. One thing I will not do in my first year is I will not try to go deeper into these or listen to a lot of this content around deeper spiritual practices or something like non-duality or the mind is like a dream and all these kind of things, right? This can become a big hindrance. Yeah, because you have to understand, when you are starting your meditation practice, right, you are in a very vulnerable situation. The mind is extremely clingy and your ignorance is very, very strong, right? It's very easy that you can end up clinging to some certain ideas, and you have no way without a strong mindfulness to validate any of this, right? So you will easily can cling to some of these ideas without any way to actually verify them, and that kind of belief system can make things much harder for you to progress in the meditation. Because why do I practice meditation? I'm or actually function properly in the real life, right? They are very valuable at the later stage when you have the enough mindfulness to actually validate all these things. But in the beginning, they can become really big hindrance. So I would prefer to stay away from these content in the beginning. Yeah. So after practicing Samatha for almost a year, what I will do is I will add 30 minutes of Vipassana practice on top of my current Samatha practice, morning and evening. Yeah. Because I've been also practicing for almost a year at this point, my mind is more receptive to practice longer as well. Yeah. And in terms of Vipassana, the Vipassana is being taught in Tibetan system using a lot of guided meditation. And these meditations are around nature of reality. Things like cause and effect, impermanence, self-cherishing mind, loving kindness, death, these kind of meditations. In the Goenka style, the Vipassana is taught using learning to observe the sensation in your body equanimously. Yeah. And this is also the root cause why the mind is so active in the first place. So basically, we are not really able to experience these different sensations. Basically, first of all, we don't even have enough mindfulness to see all these different sensations. And then the habit of clinging and grasping to these different sensations are very strong in the mind. Yeah. So with the Vipassana, as taught by Goenkaji, we are learning to stay present with these different sensations equanimously without reacting to them. Yeah. And with that, we also become more and more present in the current moment without putting any effort, right, if we are practicing it correctly. So what I will do is I will add the 30-minute morning Vipassana meditation as taught in the Tibetan system for first few months, so that mind is more absorbed into these ideas. And in the evening, I will start practicing Vipassana as taught by Goenkaji. But after 2-3 months, what I will do is I will practice Samatha for 20 to 30 minutes in the morning, followed by practicing Vipassana for 30 to 40 minutes every day. Also the same thing in the evening. Yeah. And along with practicing Vipassana morning and evening, what I will do is I will start applying that mindfulness, whatever I have cultivated there, into my day-to-day life, right? So in day-to-day life, what is happening is I am experiencing a lot of different stimulus from outside, right? Let's say somebody criticized me, and that created a disturbance inside myself, right? And with the practice of Vipassana, what we are doing is we are cultivating this consistent and deep mindfulness that allow us to actually observe what is going on inside ourselves at the first place. But we are also learning to become comfortable with that experience, right? And the more and more experience we become comfortable with, the more mind naturally calms down and stay in the present moment. Yeah. So this is what we are doing, right? At one level, I'm practicing morning and evening my daily meditation, but equally important that I'm learning to apply that mindfulness into day-to-day life with different experiences. Now, something like criticism from somebody could be a very strong disturbance, because it depends like how deeply we are clinging to the need of acceptance. Yeah, and generally these kind of needs are very strong, so it's very difficult to stay present when these kind of disturbances are coming. But we can start learning to practice this with the smaller things, right? Some things like I have a craving for a certain kind of food, and I can observe that craving without reacting to it. It is not as simple as I'm saying, right? This is like very, because mind is very sneaky and you're not going to be able to do it as simply as I'm saying, but this is what we are learning to do in second phase of meditation, right? Where I'm learning to stay present without engaging in these kind of different internal disturbances. Yeah, and this is also the process of liberating yourself from all these clinging and grasping and all kind of different noise in the mind. So this is what I will practice at least for 2 to 3 years, right? Something like a vipassana practice will continue for the rest of life, right? Because you keep developing more and more deeper and consistent mindfulness, and you keep learning to let go more and more deeply different kind of clingings that we have towards. Yeah, so this practice will go on for probably the rest of your life, but for the first 2-3 years I would be very mindful that I set up the right processes inside myself, right? I'm practicing vipassana morning and evening, also I'm applying this into my day-to-day life. Yeah, and what I'm expecting from this practice is that eventually, if I'm practicing correctly, I should cultivate a very persistent and deep mindfulness, and this capacity of being able to comfortably experience, not comfortably, but being able to experience different sensation inside my body. Yeah, and as a natural byproduct of it, that you should be able to stay present in the current moment more effortlessly, right? So this is what I will practice for next 2-3 years at least. After that, what I will do is I will add a practice of self-inquiry. Yeah, so at this point I have a consistent meditation practice, my mind is relatively in the present moment, and at this point I can start adding things like who am I, or the books like Astavakra, right, which talks about who exactly you are and what is your true nature, right? And I will add a guided meditation around it, or I will start doing the self-inquiry myself around these topics along with my vipassana practice, right? So at this point I'm expecting I would be practicing 30 to 40 minute vipassana every day, morning and evening, along with 20 minutes of these guided meditation around who am I and what is my true nature, or these self-inquiries around who am I and what is my true nature, right? And after that there's the practices of jhanas and all that. But this is how I will progress over the period of first 4 to 5 years of my meditation practice. Yeah, again, fundamentally what I'm trying to do is I'm starting from the place where I cannot stay focused on my breath and mind is very chaotic and very powerful, and I have basically no mindfulness, and I'm trying to move in the direction where I have a consistent and persistent mindfulness inside me, which is also deep and powerful, and I'm learning to observe different experiences inside myself and not reacting to them. And also I'm learning to know about who exactly I am and what is my true nature. Yeah, so this is how I would kind of progress through the first 5 years of my meditation practice if I have to start from the beginning again.